So the next part of what theatre making is we took a little bit of a trip to the Fleetwood Nautical College campus, and there we were helping out the trainee paramedics, performing as victims of accidents for them to rescue. And I think what was kind of obvious about this from the start is that this is almost the perfect immersive theatre. We were in amongst our audience in a way, and we used a lot of the practitioners. Like we weren't being passive like Brecht. In terms of Grotowski, we had nothing. It was just us. And then with Artaud, we were almost contagion was a thing with this, because the more that we played up being victims, the more symptoms that we had and the more that they had to consider when it came to us. And I noticed that with several of the groups. Like the part that I played at first, the first one that I did went very well. We kind of did what we needed to do, and the paramedics came in, did what we needed to do, and then we left. And then there was a kind of a change, because the part that I got throughout was the walking wounded. So I wasn't really injured or as seriously as the others. However, I had still been in the accident. So what I was instructed to do by the leader of the session was for me to just go absolutely mental and just freak out. And I asked them, do you want me to kind of quietly freak out, or do you want me to go the full 9 yards with it? And they said go the full 9 yards. So from that point on, with the groups that came in, I was screaming and freaking out. Even when they were going over to a victim, I was going over and I was like, is my friend okay? Is everything gonna be all right with him? And I was actively keeping them going and increasing the stress levels. I noticed that as I got more freaked out, their stress levels kept going higher, and some of them were like making mistakes. But what I noticed was when the contagion worked both times, because on the first attempt, it forced them into a completely different state of mind where they were juggling both me and the victim at once. And then the other is where they completely ignored me. But in doing that, it still worked, because they ultimately just had to keep working past me and not do like a tunnel vision thing. So it worked both times, and in all honesty, it's actually been quite helpful for writing, because seeing how a live audience would work in that environment anyway shows that it can work in a theatre. It shows that it can work in a theatre environment if you just apply it the right way. Because they were available to do every single aspect of the practitioners while doing their own assessment as paramedics. So people sat down in an audience should have no problem with it, with no other distractions going on. So I think it's been quite a successful trip, if I'm honest, because I've learned to manage that bond with an audience and have that change by what I do. So it's definitely been really useful, and when it comes to writing, I think it's going to be really helpful.